Good evening. I'm going to call to order the regular board meeting of the Richland 1 School Board of Commissioners. It is January 28th, 2025, and it is 7 o'clock. We are located at Dreher High School, 3319 Millwood Avenue, Columbia, South Carolina. Pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act, all persons, organizations, and media outlets, as requested, have been notified of the time, date, place, and agenda of this meeting. We are going to start with 6.01, an invocation provided by Commissioner Hersey.
Dear Heavenly Father, as we gather here tonight as a board, employees of Richland 1, and community members, we are seeking your guidance, discernment, and wisdom. We pray for a spirit of peace to prevail in our meeting, fostering collegial dialogue and respectful discourse. May our discussions be fruitful and lead to decisions that promote health, healing, and unity within our district. May we carry out your work with integrity, compassion, and a steadfast commitment to the future of our children in Richland 1. We ask that your love guide us in all that we do, helping us to serve our students and community with integrity and compassion. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Hersey. And before we get to the agenda adoption, I do want to note that we went into executive session at 5:42 p.m. and at 6:08 p.m. on a motion by Commissioner Weston, which was seconded by Commissioner Devine and was a unanimous vote, we exited executive session. That's at 6:08 p.m. again. All right, we have 6.02, agenda adoption. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Move for approval.
Second.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Hersey, seconded by Commissioner Devine. Any discussion or questions? All right, without discussion, I'll call for the vote. Electronically, please. All right, the motion carries. It's a 7-0 vote. The agenda is adopted, and we will move on to 6.03, a school board spotlight presented by Commissioner Clyburn.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening. Tonight, we are pleased to have an opportunity to formally recognize our schools for receiving several prestigious national honors, awards, and distinctions. We will take a picture after each recognition. First, will Hopkins Elementary School Principal Ms. Audrey White Garner and any members of her team who are here, please come forward as I tell you about the school's achievement. Thank you. Hopkins Elementary is the first Richland 1 school and the first school in South Carolina to be named a Visible Learning Certified School. Visible Learning is a professional learning program that explores what methods work best to improve student achievement. The goal of the program is to help students take responsibility for their learning and give teachers clarity about what they are teaching. Visible Learning Schools Awards recognize the progress of achievements schools make in implementing the program and embedding its methods in all levels. Being named a Visible Learning Certified School is the highest of the 3 awards a school can obtain. I'd also like to note that Hopkins Elementary received an excellent rating on its 2023-2024 State School Report Card. Congratulations to the students and staff at Hopkins Elementary. Thank you and congratulations, Hopkins Elementary School. Next, will Creighton Middle School Principal, Miss Angela Burns, and any members of her team who are here with us, please come forward as I tell you about Creighton's achievement. Okay, all right. Creighton is the first South Carolina school to be named a School of Distinction by the Association for Middle Level Education, AMLE. Creighton is also one of only 17 schools nationwide to earn the recognition for 2024. Being named an AMLE School of Distinction reflects Creighton's outstanding demonstration of the school's commitment to middle grades education and continuous improvement. To be named a School of Distinction, middle schools must go through a rigorous review process that assesses their implementation of best practices and continuous improvement plans. This process includes stakeholder interviews with staff, students, and families to provide a comprehensive evaluation. Congratulations to the students and staff at Creighton Middle. Congratulations. Next, will Satchel Ford Elementary School Principal Dr. Matthews Scandrell and any members of his team who are here with him, please come forward as I tell you about Satchel Ford's achievement. Come on down. Yeah. Okay. Satchel Ford Elementary has been named a National Banner Unified Champion School by the Special Olympics. Yeah. Satchel Ford is one of 10 schools in South Carolina to receive the designation this year. Richland 1 is a unified champion school district, which means that all Richland 1 schools are engaged in activities with Special Olympics to support an inclusive and collaborative school climate. Unified champion schools like Satchel Ford that demonstrate commitment to inclusion by meeting 10 standards of excellence receive National Banner recognition. Congratulations to the students and staff at Satchel Ford. And finally, at this time, Ms. Lisa Curtis, who is the district's Health and Physical Education Coordinator. Will you come forward to introduce our next group of award-winning schools and tell us about their national honors?
Good evening. Good evening, Chairman Lominack, Board of Commissioners, and Dr. Witherspoon. I'm Lisa Curtis, Richland 1's Health and Physical Education Coordinator. It is my honor to announce that all 48 Richland 1 schools are among the 879 schools nationwide to be named as America's Healthiest Schools for the 2023-2024 school year. Richland 1 had the most award recipients than any other school district in South Carolina. This recognition is awarded by the Alliance for a Healthier Generation and celebrates schools' dedication to supporting the health and well-being of students, staff, and families. Before we begin, Robin Cooper, Regional Program Manager for the Alliance for a Healthier Generation, would like to address the board.
Good evening. The Alliance for a Healthier Generation is a national nonprofit focused on aligned collaboration with schools, districts, and community-based organizations to create a culture of health that supports students to thrive holistically. Our America's Healthiest Schools Award program recognizes schools that actively implement best practices and strategies for advancing the health and well-being of the students, teachers, and staff. On behalf of the Alliance for a Healthier Generation, thank you, Dr. Witherspoon, Richland District School Board, and Lisa Curtis for continuous partnerships and embracing tenets of whole child health so wonderfully. Richland One serves as an example of excellence, leadership, service, and passion for wellness. Thank you.
To receive a topic award, all criteria in a single topic had to be implemented and verified during the 2023-24 school year. School wellness teams can choose to apply for recognition in one or more topic areas. Most of the schools applied for the topic of physical education and physical activity, and I'm happy to say that we had 9 school nurses that provided documentation to apply for the school health services topic too. I would like to thank Eunice Jones and her nurses for collaborating with their school wellness teams, and hopefully we will improve that number this year. 3 of our schools received recognition in 4 topic areas. Their school wellness leaders were invited to attend Healthier Generations Leaders Summit in Little Rock, Arkansas this past October, and I'm going to ask them to please come forward when I call their school. Lower Richland High School. They received it in physical education, physical activity, school health services, health education, and the district wellness policy. Olympia Learning Center. They received it in physical education, physical activity, staff wellness, district policy, and social emotional health. Pine Grove Elementary, they received it in physical education, physical activity, school health services, health education, and district wellness policy. Four of our schools received recognition in 2 topic areas: physical education, physical activity, and school health services. They are A.C. Moore Elementary School, Brockman Elementary School, Hand Middle School, and Southeast Middle School. Forty-one of our schools received recognition in 1 topic area. I'm going to call each of these schools forward. Please come to the front to be recognized, and we're going to fill this stage.
All right.
Okay. A.C. Flora High School. Elkhorn Middle School. Arden Elementary School. Bradley Elementary School. Brennan Elementary School. Burnside Elementary School. Burton Pack Elementary School. C.A. Johnson High School. Carolina School for Inquiry. Carver Lyon Elementary. Kaufman Road Elementary. Columbia High School. Creighton Middle School. Dreher High School. E.E. Taylor Elementary. Eau Claire High School. Forest Heights Elementary School. Gadsden Elementary School. H.B. Rame Elementary School. Hayward Career and Technology Center. Hayward Gibbs Middle School. Hopkins Elementary School. Hopkins Middle School. Laurel Hill Elementary School.
She wasn't lying. She was gonna fill the stage.
Hyatt Park Elementary School. J.P. Thomas Elementary. Lewis Greenview Elementary. Logan Elementary School. Meadowfield Elementary School. Mill Creek Elementary. Pendergrass Fairwald School. Rosewood Elementary. Satchel Ford Elementary. South Kilbourne Elementary. St. Andrews Middle School. W.A. Perry Middle School. Watkins Nance Elementary. Weber Elementary. Sanders Middle School. Keenan High School.
No.
And last but not least, Sandell Elementary School. I told you we were going to fill this stage. Congratulations to all, and thank you for being school wellness champions.
I can't get a picture of this. You need a drone. Oh, no. Just had taller people in the back. How you been doing? Doing good. Hey, look at this child. She ducking. See her in the middle. Right here. See, what's going on, coach? You doing good? This child sitting right there in the middle.
And I have one more statement. Lastly, please join me in congratulating all of our schools. Thank you.
Okay. I was wondering if that might be. Freezes the freeze.
Freeze. This is ever evolving.
Right. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Commissioner Clyburn, and everyone who called out all those names, presented all those certificates, and walked up here. Some folks are still obviously trying to get out of here, but are there any comments or questions that any commissioners have? Okay. Seeing no questions, we will move on to the Office of Chief of Staff, 7.01 Summer SOAR presentation by Dr. Cooper.
Mr. Chairman, School Board Commissioners, and Dr. Witherspoon, I am deeply honored and pleased this evening to have the opportunity to share with you a preamble to our Summer SOAR 2024 program framework. And I'm honored this evening to have the opportunity to provide you with a reflective review of our Summer SOAR 2024 program framework, outlining our outcomes and our impact from the summer. Before I move forward, I would like to take this opportunity to humbly thank this board and the administration for your ongoing support and your investment in out-of-school time. This includes before school, after school, Saturday school, and summer school. And your investment and your commitment allows us to meet our mission and to fulfill our mission, and that is to inspire learning, to keep kids safe, to help our working families, and to keep kids learning when they are not in school. So as we begin to ramp down for our summer 2025 program framework, we always keep on our dashboard this ratio. And we wanted to share this ratio with you tonight because it's very telling. Since 20% of our students' waking time is spent in school during the regular school day, it's that other 80% that we must be acutely focused on and intentional. Because as adults and educators, we must make sure that our students utilize this time and that we maximize this time when our students are not during the regular school day. It's critical. So I'm very pleased this evening to celebrate with you the work that Richland School District 1 has done in that 80% ratio space. Since 2017, this administration felt that it was prudent to make sure that we took all of the summer programs, all the programs that were operating at respective schools in our respective departments, but to coalesce them and to tie the bow in a sense and bring all of those efforts under one umbrella, and thus gave birth to Summer SOAR. So since the beginning of time in Richland 1's inception, we've always operated summer school programs, but it wasn't until 2017 that we formally did so in bringing that umbrella, that Summer SOAR umbrella, where we provided summer camps, summer program offerings for our pre-K students all the way to our adult learners. So I'm very pleased this evening to share with you our framework for 2025. We do plan to kick off the first week in June, operating that first week for 4 days. We will operate on a 4-day model, Monday through Thursday. We will be dormant on Fridays. So we'll kick off on June 2nd through June 5. We'll operate for 4 weeks, and then we will honor the 4th of July holiday, and we will be dormant that week of June 30th through July the 4th. We will then come back and sunset our summer programs in week 5 and 6. And I would like to say publicly that we will be working very closely with our facilities team and our custodial team to make sure that we are cooperating with them to make sure that our buildings are turnkey and ready for school opening. So most of our programs will conclude on week 5, but we will make an exception for a few pre-approved programs to operate that week 6. If you look on the right side of this scale tonight, we have presented for you all of our Summer SOAR cluster sites. We will host 7 elementary cluster sites. There will be 7 hubs, and we have also detailed for you this evening those schools that will feed into those hub sites. Why do we do this? We do this because it is a huge cost savings to our school district, and we are able to leverage resources by doing so, making 28 schools and compiling them down to 7 cluster sites, but still providing optimum services to our students and their families. At the secondary level for middle and high schools, as you will see, all of our middle school sites will be fully operational, as well as our high schools. They will all operate independently, and they will service their own student stakeholders at those sites. This evening, I would like to also quickly share with you a few of the outcomes from last year's Summer Soar sponsorship. Last year, for 2024, we sponsored 5 full weeks of academic enrichment and credit recovery and acquisition. And you can follow along with me, members of the board, because I have provided at your place settings a packet. And I've outlined for you that Summer Soar 2024 framework. But 5 full weeks of academic enrichment, credit recovery, and acquisition programs that were sponsored. In the aggregate, over those 5 weeks, we served 18,179 students pre-K through our adult learners. We sponsored 98 specialized programs with 22 active host sites, and we sponsored 1 specialized off-site, and that was at the Challenger Learning Center. And at the Challenger Learning Center, students were exposed to robust STEM enrichment, space and aeronautic camps at that particular site. To also make sure we were meeting the needs of our students in terms of health and wellness, we employed 17 nurses that were deployed all over our system to make sure our students were healthy. And also in terms of health and wellness, we provided 20,336 breakfast meals and 26,530 lunch meals. Additionally, to make sure that we were providing great customer service to our patrons, our parents, our guardians, and our students, we fueled and addressed 1,923 calls on the Summer Soar hotline. That hotline opens the beginning of April, and it runs through the beginning of August, and we will do so again this year. Because we also believe during the out-of-school time that school safety is so very important to us, in collaboration with our Safety and Security Department, 25 school safety associates were positioned to provide coverage at these cluster sites, and 2 crossing guards were deployed at 2 school sites that we felt had some vulnerability in terms of cyclist and pedestrian safety. To also, as an amenity, make sure that we were meeting the needs of our students and our families, we did provide home-to-school and school-to-home transportation. So 96 school buses were circulated and 96 bus drivers were hired, and these buses covered over 80,000 miles. During the out-of-school time, we do think that this is also an optimum time to promote adult advocates and match our students at the elementary level with mentors, like the mentors from our foster grandparents program that is a part of our partnership with Senior Resources. So I'm proud to report that during Summer Soar 2024, we placed 37 FGPs, as we affectionately call them. They were assigned at 8 sites. And all of these foster grandparents together accrued 3,600 volunteer hours, and Senior Resources will partner with us again this summer. I am very pleased also to announce publicly the ongoing partnerships that we have with our sponsor organizations, like the National Summer Learning Association, of which we are a partner organization out of Washington, D.C., the National After School Alliance that also provides a great deal of support with us in the work that we're doing in the out of school time space, our very own, the South Carolina After School Alliance, and of course the South Carolina Department of Education. And there are others, but I did want to highlight those 4. They will continue to work with us. The value add is they provide trainings, PD for us. They provide us with research studies, networking, resources, and also they share with us best practices for the out-of-school time space. And it's very important that we continue to do this because we understand that we must keep our kids on stride to reduce the summer slide, because we understand the harsh realities. Over 2.5 months of math and science skill competency is lost over the summer. 2 months of reading skills are lost over the summer. Teachers spend 6 weeks reteaching old material when students return from the summer back to the regular school year. But studies do show that by students participating in just 2 to 3 hours per week in a summer program helps to aggressively curb the summer slide, to curb any academic regression and any learning loss. And we haven't even gone into any depth about the health and safety and socio-emotional benefits of keeping kids learning. So before I invite my colleagues to take a deeper dive about some of the academic value add of our credit recovery, credit acquisition, and our academic programs for the summer, I would like to also share with you and highlight one of the great partnerships that we do have in the summer, and that is our ongoing partnership with the Richland County Sheriff's Department. And for those of you who are Columbians and who live here in Richland County, you know that about 28 years ago, when Sheriff Lott first took his position as the sheriff of our county, he created this mantra, and he said he was going to promote unity in the community, and that was he wanted to make sure his deputies were highly visible in our schools, were partnering with teachers and students, that the deputies would be going in and interfacing with children so they were seen as peace officers and not as punitive individuals. And also he wanted to make sure that he created those adult advocates for our students, and we have been the beneficiary here in Richland School District 1. So at our elementary level, our middle level, and our high school level, Sheriff Lott and his team provide the Stars of Tomorrow camp, the Arts and Crafts camp for our students, the forensic camps, character ed sports, and the leadership camp. And also, members of the board, if you will look in your packet, I've also shared a year-to-year comparison for summer 2023 and summer 2024. Sheriff Lott and I do meet monthly, and we sit around and we talk about the importance of trying to work together to curb youth violence and youth juvenile delinquency. So although it would be totally overreaching to make the claim that our summer programs here in Richland School District 1 are the sole factor for the reduction in juvenile crime and delinquency here across Richland County, it is safe to say that our out-of-school time summer programs do play a key role and could be a strong causation to curbing youth violence and offenses here in Richland County. And as you see on that chart, it is no secret that during the months of June and July, that there is a stark decrease in youth and juvenile crime, okay? And the message that we want to share is that we've got to continue to keep our kids engaged. It keeps them out of trouble and helps them to reduce risky behaviors. So for 2024, we will continue to frame our program dimensions in 3 facets: the enrichment facet, Junior Fire Marshal Program, Columbia Theater Fantasy Club, Girls on the Run, the Richland County Sheriff's Department, YMCA Boys and Girls Club. So those programs will all fit under that umbrella and facet. Then we will have our academic and STEAM facet, and then we will also continue to have our credit recovery and our credit acquisition programs. So at this time, I would like to invite my colleagues, our executive directors of our elementary and our secondary levels to talk a little bit, take a deeper dive, and provide some more insight and documentation about the value add.
Good evening, Commissioner Lomack, Dr. Witherspoon, and board members. I want to go over our elementary summer program review for the 24 and 25 school year. So to start off, for the 25 school year, we will focus only on 4 camps. 4K CERDEP, 4 weeks. The purpose of CERDEP camp is to provide preschoolers with quality preschool experience necessary for kindergarten success. I decided to share with you all the funding sources, partially out of Title I, partially out of general, and primarily out of state funds. Extended school year, ESY. Purpose of ESY is basically determined by an IEP team, determine if a student needs additional specialized services in the summer. That is primarily funded by IDA, which is a federal grant. Young Einstein Summer Institute, again, is 4 weeks. YES serves high-performing students in grades 2nd and 3rd who have met one dimension of the South Carolina Gifted Talented requirement or scored at or above the 75th percentile on Winter Star Reading Math Assessment. And I just put in parentheses, identified GT students are placed on a waiting list. So we do have some GT students that are interested in attending Young Einstein, but primarily we would like to service what the data provides for the students we need to help qualify for GT services. The funding services for Young Einstein is primarily Title IV and partial of general funds. Summer Reading Camp is a required camp for the state. The purpose of Summer Reading Camp is intended for current third graders who are projected to be at least one grade level behind, and the goal is for them to reach proficiency. Funding sources, state funds, Title I, and general funds. And over onto the right-hand side, I provided you some basic numbers of what that looks like. Again, we do not have ESSER funds. I'm afforded general funds as a base, but I use other resources to offset the original $1.2 million budget. We additionally have carryover funds from last year due to us having additional ESSER funds. And just taking a look at our data, last year we had 708 students on the priority third grade list. Out of the 708, 203 were not met. They scored not met on SE Ready. Out of the 203, on the STAR is the state approved. If you see the documents from the state, you have to pass and approve state assessment or form of assessment. 86 students passed. LAP is called the Literacy Assessment Portfolio. 64 students were able to move on to the next grade. IEP's 504 is 35 students. We called our MLL students, limited English proficient students, 7, and we only retained 11. The 11, in the summer, I do ask for support from parent advocates provided by Title I. I also have to reach out to our school social workers to track down parents of those third graders to get them in summer camp. Out of those 11 did not attend summer camp or parent requests for them to be retained. Our current data. At this time, we have 568 students on the not met list. On the priority list. What I would like you to pay close attention to is that the new score to score on the state-approved STAR test has increased to a 941. On the previous slide, it was 861. Additionally, I have a strike through. The LAP is no longer counted as a good cause exemption. And below is listed the only other exemptions that we have. So it is imperative, based on our data, to focus on third grade this school year. We did have a decrease in the number of students on the priority list. But with that being said, we have to ensure fidelity and good interest of our parents, that we do our due diligence to ensure that their children pass. I also would like to go back and make note of the number of 203. The state previously had a cut score if there was a not met. They had a scale score. They have eliminated a scale score. So all students who score not met must attend summer learning. So if we had to invite all of the students that were not met, there would have been over 500 students. So if we look at that 500 number, out of that 500 number, we only had 203. So based on that, it's imperative in using the data, we decided to focus primarily only on third grade. Success Young Einstein. Young Einstein, we had 185 students. The students that qualified, state identified, were 51, local identified 95. We had a 79% success rate of students who were qualified for GT this school year. At this time, Dr. Hassinger will come up.
Thanks.
Good afternoon. Going to share just a couple of quick things. First of all, my office, the Office of Secondary Education, financially sponsors 4 programs plus 1 additional program through the Office of Advanced Academic Programs funded by Title IV. So I wanted to give you just a brief overview. Essentially, what we call middle school summer school is an opportunity to take students, invite students who have been retained based on their lack of mastery of the standards and their grades throughout the school year, to work during the summer in extremely small groups to make sure that they demonstrate mastery in a significant enough manner that they can be promoted and matriculate to the next grade. That's the intent of the program. The estimated budget for 2025 is $571,123.20. High school credit recovery works in a similar way, except it's very specific to certain Carnegie credit classes. Those classes are prioritized based on the student's needs to matriculate to the next grade. Students can recover up to 2 failed courses. We prioritize math and English. After that, science and social studies. There are options at some schools and at some times, depending on the number of students and the needs, for us to do some elective courses for credit recovery, but the priority are our core courses. The estimated budget for that is identical to the summer school program. We staff those programs in almost an identical manner. Now, I will say those are maximum budgets. If a school has a small number of students participating, we cut back on staff. Middle school starts strong and high school starts strong. This is a transitional support program. It's very brief. It's 4 days in July, 1 week. And it essentially focuses on kids who are going from 5th to 6th or 8th to 9th who are already seen as not quite being prepared for the next level, either academically or socio-emotionally. And so that week is all about getting them accustomed to the expectations at the next academic level, making sure they build some relationships. For example, it's taught by 6th grade teachers and 9th grade teachers. So kids during the summer can go ahead and build relationships with their English teacher prior to being placed in that English class in August. So the intent here is to ensure those students' success and provide them an opportunity to kind of adjust to what the expectations are as opposed to the previous level. It's a fairly inexpensive program when you look at the numbers of students participating. It runs about $190,000, and I've also included the transportation costs for all 4 programs. The estimate I received from our transportation department for this year is $157,000. Now, I have not mentioned Einstein 2.0. That is an extension of our Young Einstein program at the elementary school. But I will kind of brag for a second and say that last year our intense focus for that 4 to 6 week program was on PSAT preparation. And we haven't shared this data officially, but the superintendent is aware. We almost doubled our South Carolina junior scholars based on PSAT scores. We targeted 7th grade locally identified students or below, not gifted and talented. And our intent focus was to prepare them to come back at the beginning of 8th grade and take the PSAT, which they're typically do on an annual basis. And our kids did really well in this district. So I'm happy for that. I'm also happy that Title IV pays for all of it, and I don't have to ask you all for any money. A couple of the results from last year, I just wanted to point this out. Middle school, summer school. Now, we invited more than 395 potential retainees, but 395 accepted our invitation to participate. Out of those 395, 358 were able to matriculate to the next grade. So the success rate was 90.6% among our invitees. High school, we had 681 high school students participate in our credit recovery programs. They participate for a variety of reasons. Some are trying to graduate that summer and need 1 or 2 more credits. Some are just trying to get the credits necessary to not be called a freshman next year and become a sophomore. 755 credits were awarded. And I'd like to mention with the high school credit recovery program, it's particularly important. in terms of both the school and the district's report card, because there's a connection here with the high school success rate that was discussed earlier, and also the graduation rate. Because even if we can get a graduate out by a certain day in the summer, then they will count towards our grad rate. Now, for some reason, the state will not let them count towards our high school success rate, but it puts that child on better footing to count the next year. Last year, only ninth graders were included. This year, it's 9th and 10th. Next year, it'll be 9th, 10th, 11th, and so on until all students are included every year. So I'd like to thank you for the commitment in funding that you provided us so that we can get our middle school and high school students who maybe have misstepped back on the right track. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edie Sturtevant and Edie Hassinger, for co-narrating with me this evening. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that does conclude our presentation this evening, but we welcome any questions from the body at this point.
Thank you to all of you for that presentation. Any questions or comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Devine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dr. Cooper. We appreciate this information that you give to us every year, and we know that you get opportunity to travel and present this information across the state and across the nation, so thank you for that endeavor. I'm big on strategic plan and was interested, and this may not be you, maybe Dr. Witherspoon or Dr. Minor, but as we look at our performance goals that we have for the strategic plan, I know one of them was to increase our SC Ready ELA, math, and then science scores. So can you correlate what you do, what this program does to help us increase those scores for our young people?
As it relates to SE Ready for third grade, as you see the numbers decreasing, that affects our third grade overall reading score. Mm-hmm. So as our state, our strategic plan, we went up in elementary. So we're at as a district, we're 45.9. Third grade, we increased to 45.3. So we're meeting the mark where we're trying to hit the 50%.
Great.
And Mr. Hassinger.
Sure. With regards to the strategic plan, sir, the formal academic test provided by the state, as you may remember, last year, every single data point among secondary education students increased. And we have an excellent 3-year trend. So I feel pretty positive about that in terms of correlation. But I'd also like to mention that one of our strategic plan goals was to increase the identification of gifted and talented students, particularly among populations that are often not identified. And we have some exciting data to share with you all this year with regards to that matter as well. We've seen impact from our summer programs for Einstein and from our elementary programs in second grade to ensure student divergent thinking and critical thinking.
Very good. So that was my next question. So glad you said that. Those populations that typically aren't identified through state, but through our local identification. So thank you for that.
Well, and state identification has increased as well. And we have some schools who haven't had a state identified student in a while, and now they do as of this year. Yes.
Wow, that's good. That's awesome.
And I would say that would go back to us having those parent advocates, the Title I parent support, and having social workers go out, because at those schools, Watkins, Nance, some of the others where we had Young Einstein, we had to really advocate to the parents the importance of why their child was on track to be gifted and the importance of why their child needed to be in the Young Einstein program.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Then my next question is, one of the goals also is graduation rates, to increase that over time. I think we looked at the 9th grade year. They start from 9th grade to 12th grade year, increase that from, I don't know what the number was, but to about 80, 85%. So with that said, Dr. Hassinger talked about the credit recovery earlier and the role that that plays to help our young people graduate and get out of school. So if we don't have this program, how would that impact, in your opinion, potentially the graduation rate?
Well, dramatically, because it really is not feasible for students who already struggle in school to take 8 courses and then do credit recovery at night or on top of their coursework. So that's a little bit unrealistic. Now, sometimes we do have to do some creative things to get kids out of school on time, and they may have to take 9, 10 courses during the school year instead of just the standard 8.
Right.
But what credit recovery does is it gives kids an opportunity to get back on track. Right. And you may think, well, it's just 2 credits. Well, to be considered part of the high school success rate and for a child to be considered on track, as you learned earlier, it's 6 credits with at least 1 English and 1 mathematics. So those 2 opportunities can be tremendous to keep kids on track to graduate. So personally, as someone who went, in college, I was a great student. In high school, I was a maniac. Mm-hmm. So it's important to students who are already just making it to try to put 2 and 3 more classes on top of them. We really need to do it during the summer, sir.
Awesome. Well, I can say as a parent of 2 children who went through the Young Einstein program, I am pleased with the work that they got, and they are well doing what they need to do. And I agree with you, the PSA testing part will help tremendously. The focus on PSA, SAT, sorry. Mm-hmm. PSAT really helped them, and they talk about that now in college and in high school, that those were some of the efforts from this district that really helped them to move forward. So thank y'all, Dr. Cooper. I do have another question, and it's regarding, and this may go to Dr. Witherspoon, I'm not sure. It's regarding timing that we get the schedule for the upcoming year. When do we anticipate getting the 2025 program together?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that question. We are already working on designing, planning, collecting all the data so that we can pull together this brochure. Our goal is to have it into the hands of our students on or before when they leave for our not 4th of July, spring break.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So that will give families and parents and guardians time to peruse the book and to be able to ask any questions, and go on and start registering. So we are already, those efforts are already underway. If I may, I would like to also thank our communications team because they stand shoulder to shoulder with us in making sure that this particular brochure is not only just delivered to our schools for each and every student in Richland School District 1, but it is very blatantly displayed on our website. And also Ms. York and her team work very closely with our social media, print, and broadcast sources and partners in the community to cascade this information down.
Awesome. And then my last question, Mr. Lamanak, and then I'll hush. As we put this together, and this is just some feedback from some parents that I've heard from. For example, the zoo already has their summer program out. Adventure is going to put theirs out soon. State Museum is now open, and also there's a sailing camp that's also open. And as we put ours together, we have the 4-day camps. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Monday through Thursday.
Is there a way, and this was a question from a parent, is there a way that we could potentially partner with I'm using the Y because that's who my children attend. That's where they attend. Can we partner with an after-school provider, say on a Friday, to provide the continuing academic service for our students and to also help our parents as well?
I'm going to defer to our CEO on that one.
All right.
Commissioner Devine, there are, and certainly a good question,
Yes.
but there are some moving parts that would be involved in that. Transportation, as Dr. Cooper spoke about, and some supervision issues. That can be something that we will certainly ask the team to take a look at, but I can't give you a definitive.
No, correct. And please do not. Again, I'm just telling you, I met with some parents and in the community. These are questions they're asking me. I can't answer, but I just want to put it on the table that they're saying, you know, we do a good job Monday through Thursday. I still need, you know, the child still needs assistance on that Friday. If there's any way that we could provide that, and maybe or Friday could be, you know, we you know, for a nominal fee, the parent can, you know, pay for the child to go to some additional program or something. Just food for thought.
Sure.
Thank you for that spring break date. I think a lot of parents will be glad to hear that. As a parent in the district, I'm glad to hear that. So thank you. I look forward to that happening.
Yes,
Thank you.
And Mr. Commissioner, just so you know, we have already presented this information, our preamble, to our school administrators, and they were the information was well received, and they're going to also stand shoulder to shoulder with us in cascading this information down to their stakeholders.
Awesome. And I would encourage this board, as we look at our budget, to continue working with the district to ensure that we fund this summer SOAR program. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Wesson and then Commissioner Clyburn.
As always, a wonderful presentation, in depth. We were talking about the impact that the student achievement. And so when I looked at the focus on 568 third graders for 2025, I was really pleased to hear that with retention, parents can retain those children at third grade if they are not
Yes.
ready to go on. That was a major concern. And it's 4 weeks.
Yes,
4
ma'am.
days a week.
Yes, ma'am.
And with that, how many, we're anticipating that for this year, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Well, it was based on, we have one more assessment, and that is in the spring, and that's the final numbers. But I will have to, because of time, I need to send out the invites before spring break for hiring and kind of budgeting the numbers, and then I'll have a better score in May when I have the SE Ready Not Met list.
Okay. And what I was interested in, you hit on it. It was how do we get them moving through our system, and then coming up with the high school credit recovery and all of those things. That was the point that we were trying to
Yes.
get to last time, to show us the data that would do that. And as much as I appreciate your PowerPoint, I'd love to have a copy so I could actually sit down and see it. And I saw the letter from Sheriff Lott and the information from that. And I know that we will make a difference in our communities, and that's all well and good. But again, we have to get back to student achievement. And so with our middle school and our high school, with credit recovery and all of those things, that's the data that we were really interested in. So if you could share that PowerPoint with all of us, we would greatly appreciate it, so we'll know that we are addressing the achievement needs as well as the social safety needs of the children in our care. Thank you all so very much for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Clyburn and then Commissioner Bishop.
Yes, thank you. I just have one question, and it's regarding summer SOAR. There was a point made, I think by Dr. Hassinger, about the impact for, you know, the credits that the students in 8th grade matriculating to 9th grade, in 5th grade matriculating to 6th grade, that they're able to achieve with that program, that initiative. So my question is about summer SOAR, and thank you for providing the updates on the data and how summer SOAR affects or can improve student achievement. I appreciate that. But if we were, there are those out there who do not see the need, you know, for the summer SOAR program, for summer initiatives in our schools. I wanted to know if you could share the impact on if we did not have the summer SOAR program, at least at the level that we have now. I don't think any reduction needs to be made. I feel we need to expand the program based upon the need, you know, around our district. But if we were to decrease or eliminate the summer SOAR program, what kind of adverse effect would that have for our students?
Well, just to give you a little background for elementary, 3rd grade summer reading camp is required by the state. CERDEP is basically offered, required, I would say required, but it's funded through the state, so you wouldn't decline doing CERDEP. Additionally, it's required because students is pass or fail. You have to attend to make the advancement to the next grade, or receive that extra support. So right now, just giving you some background, there's a bill right now for next year for the state to fund first grade. And the next year they'll fund 26, 27, they'll fund second grade. So they're going to add a grade level each year. One of the components which impacts third grade is the attendance is required. You have to attend 90% to be able to be considered even to be promoted on. So that looks a little bit different, and Mr. Hastert can talk about why I think most of his programs are required. It's imperative that they do attend.
So none of the programs we offer to secondary schools are required by the state, but the impact of not having our middle school summer school would have been over 350 children in middle school being retained. Because we're not going to pass children on if they've not met these standards, right? So we gave them an opportunity over a period of 16 days, 6 hours a day, to meet the necessary standards. So I'd like you to just for a moment think about 350 or so middle school students retained 3 years in a row. So there are staffing implications, there's school size implication. Also, I know you're all well aware of the research of what one retention can potentially do to a child's life. And 2 retentions essentially it's a ticket to drop out, okay? Now, when we get to high school, you can tell I'm pretty passionate about this stuff. When you get to high school, as we look at credits, let's say that credit recovery was not an option, and as a freshman, a kid got 4 credits out of 8, then the next year they pass 4 out of 8. They're really just barely a sophomore and they're turning 17, right? And they're supposed to be a junior getting ready to graduate. Now, they're starting to look at options outside the school. And so there's a lot more encouragement for that child to walk away from that high school if they feel they're up against an insurmountable task in graduating on time. There have been many a child I had to get down in a seat with and beg to come back for a 5th year so I could get a diploma in that child's hand. Kids don't want to do 5 years. And it's our goal to try to get them out in 4 if we can, or get them in a program that can accelerate their learning, like our Excel Academy or our evening high school. If that can't work, then we look for outside agencies to assist. But really, if you can get a child out in 4 years, that child's probably going to have a very successful either job life or academic life after high school. So to me, that's what's paramount. And I know we talk about the connection to high school success, we talk about the connection to grad rate, we talk about the connection to kids making C or higher, on these exams and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, we have to look at this child by child. And that's why these programs are necessary, in my opinion.
I would just like to add, in terms of looking at the whole child, that if we did not have these programs, I think we would start to see across our city and our county an increase in youth obesity rates. You've heard a testament from our sheriff that he strongly stands shoulder to shoulder with us, that if we don't have these programs, we're going to see an increase in juvenile delinquency and crime. Food insecurity. A lot of our students depend on us in the summer to get their nutritional needs met. And also for our working families. Parents can't work if they don't have reliable childcare. So these after-school programs, these out-of-school time programs, summer programs, parents very much rely on them in order to make a living for their families. And then lastly, just the social-emotional benefits of letting kids in the summer play and work and talk and get connected with caring adults, role models, certified teachers, IAs, foster grandparents, and working with their peers. Just come walk the halls with us to hear the laughter. And the work that we're doing is helping to guard against anxiety of our kids, depression, and some of the other issues that we're seeing in our schools for our children.
All right, Commissioner Bishop.
Thank you, Chair. To this team of presenters, excellent job. Excellent job.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop.
Helping us understand what I want to say is our investment. This program, if not supported, I fear what the alternative may be. And the way you all presented this opportunity, to me, again, is an investment. Now, we do understand the taxpayers support Richland One, and we are a learning enterprise. But not every learning enterprise throughout the United States of America has a summer SOAR. Richland One believes that we are a leader in transforming lives through education, which is why we boldly stepped out to do this 7 years ago. So when I look at the investment, it's an excellent return on investment. Now let's try to count the cost, because Dr. Cooper, I'm not sure if you really drilled down to this, but imagine the amount of meals that you said we are serving multiplied at the cost per meal.
Yes.
So we are supporting that if we move forward. But imagine if the community had to pay for that, how much that would impact each household. Okay? Now, I think you also put out here 80,653 miles.
Yes.
Think about if that was what someone had to do as far as Uber costs to get a child from one place to another. Because not everyone has a car. So let alone if a child got to walk to get opportunities and resources. Here's Richland One, getting children from one place to another. There was another stat you put out here that was pretty amazing. And it's in the quote. It says that youth spend only 20% of their waking hours in school. How they invest their other 80 will dramatically transform their lives. So when we invest in a program like this, it's a huge return. It's bigger than 80%. It's 100%, as my good friend Jamie Devine would say, that children are 24% of our population, but 100% of our future. And so I am thankful that you all brought this to us, because what we are putting in this program is no comparison to what we're getting out of it as a community. Now, the other part that's not on here is, if we're not supporting, 18,000 students to come through
Yes.
in a matter of 20 days?
Yes.
Well, I said in my opening statement, if we don't support this, I fear the alternative. The alternative is that if they idle or don't know what to do, they're going to be bored. They'll find something to do. And what if the something that they do is not to their advantage? What would that cost look like? What would that cost be to our city, our county, as Lord forbid if any of our children have to deal with crime, legal assistance, bail money, anything that is a loss or a deficit because we didn't invest, it's not a return. It's a loss. So don't have any questions. I just wanted to tell this community that I really see the value of this, and I appreciate you all presenting this. Some people may not find this as a popular opinion, and you're tired of hearing me preach. Well, amen to you as well. Thank you, Dr. Cooper.
Thank you, Dr. Bishop.
Commissioner Hersey.
Thank you, ladies, and Dr. Hassinger for the presentation. I do have a few questions for clarity. Can you explain to me, in some in the chart, I see summer SOAR, summer school, summer enrichment, and start strong. What is the difference?
So it may be, and I'm not looking at the chart that you're looking at, but it may be the way that those courses are where they're sponsored. For example, most of the the things that would be under academic come out of my office or Ms. Sturdivant's office. Like the Einstein programs, the credit recovery programs, the third grade. Most of the enrichment, that's really driven through Dr. Cooper's office. So really, that kind of divides things up, I think. Is this the list?
And we could just look at it later, but the way, I was just a little confused if, was there any delineation in the difference of students that are being served? And,
Yeah, well, the answer to that is definitely yes, because for Start Strong, it's invitation. Credit recovery and summer school, it's not for kids who are making A's and B's, you know, so it does delineate. But our camps at Challenger Center, for example, all kinds, yeah. I mean, it's open invitation, yeah.
And for the, I've noticed, can you all go back to the elementary slide? For the young Einstein, that says high-performing students. That would normally be an advanced placement kid. Where does, so what do we have for the low-performing? Because what I wanted to see was, I wanted to see some data to show where students are when they come in, some pre-assessment and post-assessment, especially for the elementary level. Because and if you go to the other slide, I was not quite sure the next one that had the star data on it. I think it was the next one. Because I think what I wanted to see was, I understand nothing against summer source, summer school. We know that we have to have those things. But we want to get to the meat of what's going on and actually looking at the pre-assessment data versus the and post-assessment to show us as a board that what we're doing is helping academically with making some advancements. And so moving forward, that's something that I would love to be able to have access to or to see. And I wasn't quite sure that what it means when it says not SC ready, not met 203. So out of that 203, only 86 came in and took the star. Can you elaborate on that chart?
I will be able to. Out of the 203, 86 passed. That was the alternative assessment the state allows you to take. So out of that, 86 students passed, their cut score of 861. Good cause exemption, the other items are good cause exemption. So literacy assessment, that means they weren't able to make the 861 cut score, but they had a literacy portfolio. So that was 64 students. The next good cause exemption were 35 students had an IEP. The next good cause exemption were 7 students. And then out of that 203, 11 did not move on to the next grade.
So out of the 708 priority third graders.
That's
how
who was
many-
invited.
That's who was invited.
Yes, ma'am.
So only 203 came?
Only 203 did not met on the SE Ready. So the state has you track for elementary, the students who are not on grade level using your STAR, whatever form of assessment that your district uses.
So the 203 are the ones that came to summer school that we will be tracking.
That did not pass the state SE Ready.
So how many elementary kids were enrolled in the summer program?
I can get that to, I can get you how many actually came.
So that's what, and I mean, I know Dr. Cooper has it here, but I think that's kind of what.
I can provide that, but the meat, this is what moves our, this is what that 203 affects our baseline score. So I was giving you the baseline data for what moves the SE rated, but I can give you the ones, if you're on a priority list, you could have passed, but you're still invited. So the state requires that you invite all priority students to summer learning. The people that are mandated that have to attend and I have to provide services are the SE ready, not meet.
So do we have it? So do we have it broken down to how many kids were in Young Einstein?
Yes, ma'am.
How many were in?
Yes,
that
ma'am.
are the low performers, which would be the SC ready kids, right?
Yes, ma'am. So we had invited 386 second graders. We invited 158 third graders, so it was a total of 544 students. 246 registered and only 185 attended.
Right, but that's not here. That's
No,
not-
I did. Yeah, I
Okay.
didn't. Yes.
So I was just asking about that. And also, I think moving, trying to be proactive. You know, as a principal, summer school was always one of those things that we know we had to have.
Yes, ma'am.
But it is my hope, I'm hoping that, and I'm talking, even talking to parents, now with the new report card rating, and how they're doing the success, and if you're not having what you need to move to the 10th grade, looking at it, to me, my hope would be that we would start to decrease the number of students that would need summer school, because kids would
That's
now
our goal.
have, if we can get their mindset to shift to earn all their credits and not have to go to summer school so that they can be classified by the right grade. It's a little bit different now with the calculations, and I'm hoping that long-term that we'll see that impact, that the numbers are really being reduced. And maybe as a district, we need to look at being more proactive and not just
Waiting
letting
for,
the kids know that summer school is there for them. And you know, it's kind of difficult to explain, but those of you that have done the report card calculations, you'll understand that moving from 9th to 10th grade, if you don't have those, what is this, 4 credits, not 6? The 6. If you don't have those 6 credits, you're going to be back in the 9th grade. So let's not depend on summer school to get those 2 credits. Let's go ahead and do what we need to do now so that we don't have as many kids in summer school.
so one of the things we started last year, we put in place for this school year was all elementary schools had to have basically a Read to Succeed night with parents to really go over SE Ready and what the expectations are. And the goal isn't, and the goal isn't to go to summer school. The goal is for you to pass SE Ready and what you need to start ahead of time and what the benchmark is. So we did put that in place this school year.
So I'm certain that you all have the data. I just asked, when we talked about a month ago, what you just stated is what we wanted to see. You know,
We can break it
the
down.
presentation is nice, but we really wanted to see the meat and the bones and not the extra stuff. So
Okay.
that we would actually understand how summer is impacting our kids on an academic level and being able to see the numbers and articulate it. Not that we don't need the program, we just want to see the numbers and what we're doing structurally to make sure that kids are getting what they need during the summer. We appreciate it.
I got you. If there's any more, just let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Moore.
Not to belabor a point, because it's been covered a couple of times since I first raised my hand, but yeah, the same concern. Just getting the kind of information that delves a little bit deeper into the academic portion, not because you get a bang for your buck, and this is a great, this was a great presentation, and there's a lot of things going on that are great that we want to continue, and we know we need to continue for our community. But we also want to make sure that that the academic portion is actually accomplishing what we're setting out to accomplish with it, which is to provide the academic remediation or enrichment or whatever it is, and we can't really tell that without a little bit more detailed information.
Thank you so much.
All right, any other questions from board members? All right, thank you all very much. That
Thank
concludes
you.
7.01. And we will move to 8.01, public participation. This is the public's chance to provide public comment and address any issues before us or any issues that are important to you. Please, and I don't think I need to tell the 3 folks who are signed up, but I want to say this at every meeting, please do not attack any students or staff members. You have 3 minutes, and are they going to be able to see the timer on the screen? Yes, you will be able to see your time on that screen to your left. And our first speaker is listed as Richland County Education Association.
Good evening, School Board.
Good evening.
Tonight, as we celebrate School Board Appreciation Month, we're here on behalf of the Richland County Education Association to serve up a sweet thank you, both literally and figuratively. All right, listen. Think of our school district as a restaurant, serving up success for every student. You, our school board members, are the head chefs in the kitchen, carefully crafting the recipe for excellence. You balance the ingredients of vision, policies, and budgets, ensuring that each dish, our schools, meets the highest standards. Just like a great restaurant depends on teamwork, we rely on you to blend diverse ideas into something extraordinary. You're the unsung heroes behind the scenes, making sure that every student gets a seat at the table and that our educators have the tools to deliver a 5-star experience. Now, and since no great meal is complete without dessert, we thought it fitting to honor your hard work with cake. Each bite is a little reminder of the joy you bring to our students, staff, and families through your dedication and leadership.
That's sweet.
Thank you for being the heart and soul of Richland School District 1's recipe for success. Enjoy your cake. You earned it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the comments and the cake. Thank you. If I'd known you were going to give us cake, I would have given you 6 minutes. All right, our next speaker is Scott Barber.
Good evening. And first, I want to say thank you for your willingness to serve. I've been watching as the new board has kind of come in and change of the climate and the culture seems to be shifting a little bit. So thank you as a member of the community, as a parent, as a taxpayer in Richland County. I look forward to the changes coming over the next year or so. One of the things, there's been a lot of talk about about the audit and so forth, or the South Carolina Department of Education coming in about an audit. I wanted to express support from my standpoint from a community. I'm one member of the community, but I'm sure there's more that are very interested and supportive of the audit, of looking at where the money goes. I'm going to try to tie it to the SOAR presentation, actually. One of the things, if I did my numbers right, there's a couple of things that stuck out to me. I think it was 18,000 students in 7 sites, right? I think the population of Richland County, or the student population, is about 21,000, and I think it's like 54 schools. So how do we make that work? I don't quite know. So it goes to, where does the money go? What are we supporting? Are we doing efficient, being good stewards of the money? The other thing I want to point out is the program, which seems great, right? We're getting kids, we're advancing them, keeping them on pace with what they need to do. They're doing this in 4 to 8 weeks over the summer. What about the other 36 weeks that they're in our care normally? What are we doing there? What can we learn from that program of how they're interacting with the kids to get them focused on that, on what they're doing? Maybe something, something to be looked at. The other piece of it is the funding of that program. If I calculated in my head, it's probably about $2.5 million for funding for that program. And this kind of goes to the audit, is I can think of about 3 different instances in the last year where we funneled $2.4 million away in some place that may not have been as valuable as the summer program, right? We've got one with a questionable vendor that we've asked questions about, is, hey, is this really legit? The P-card instance is another one where in 2023, we cost deference. We didn't spend $2.4 million after we looked at our own books, and as forced by the Department of Education to make changes, we saved that money. So in those 2 instances, we paid 2 years, 2 summers for this program. So what else is out there? You know, I think, as Dr. Hersey pointed out before, an audit can be good. If you're in any government agency, an audit is usual. In my world, we get audited 2 or 3 times a year to make sure that we're doing what we should be doing, and we can account for what needs to be where it is. So I just wanted to share those thoughts. I think Summer SOAR, congratulations. I think they're doing well.
Thank you, Mr. Barber. All right, our third speaker is Mr. Mustafa.
Good evening, Chairman. Good evening, board members. I'm here advocating on behalf of Haber Career Center. First and foremost, I want to thank the board members that attended January 13 meeting with Mill and Tack. One of the things that we want to emphasize is getting support from the board members in regards to making a permanent relationship, a husband and wife relationship with Mill and Tack and Hayward Career Center, which is crucial, important. We hope that the board would commit themselves. Why did I emphasize that? Because Hayward Career Center been around for 50 years. I'm assistant barber instructor there at Hayward Career Center. I'm gonna share some observations. The observation is that we have to, with the students, and let me talk about barber quickly. We have to do more advertisement. And I say that to say because many of the communities don't even know anything about Hayward Career Center. If we can get on the Facebook, the homepage of district, then that would help. If we can inform the community that Hayward Career Center exists, we got the barbering program, we got the cosmetology program, we got the auto mechanic program. Imagine it's a win-win situation. Win-win situation. Haircuts is only $10. There's no way in the world I will take my grandson $30 for haircuts today. We got cosmetology, auto mechanic. The community can benefit, but the community really don't know much about it, okay? In addition to that, I would say reintroducing programs such as HVAC, electrical, plumbing. We have a leader, Mr. Washington, who is committed. If we can get a plan of action, these young folks can graduate with a career. And the key getting with Mill and Tack is that, for an example, Auto 1. They finished Auto 1, they finished Auto 2. Now it goes over to where? Mill and Tack. Auto 3, Auto 4. More money, more money. So what we're saying is that if we can, even in the auto mechanic, the question is, we don't have wheel balancing. We don't have wheel alignment. Let's add that. Let's add dental assistant. Let's add MA, medical assistant. We can make it happen. So the key is we want to leave our footprints behind. We talk about career training, skills. Skills is big to me. Everybody don't go to college, not at all. So let's make sure that we let the whole Richland County know about Hayward Career Center, because Monday to Saturdays, we can do services. And a lot of communities can save a whole lot of money.
Thank you, Mr. Mustafa. Thank you very much. That concludes the public comment portion. I do want to say to all of you, first of all, thank you for taking the time to provide those comments, and someone from the district will submit a written response to you depending on the topics that you discussed within the next week or two, okay? So thank you very much. We will now move on to the consent agenda. We have 3 items on the consent agenda. 9.01, the minutes, regular board meeting January 14th, and the called board meeting on January 23rd. 9.02, December 2024 financial report, and the 9.03, approval of continuing resolution. Does any member wish that I remove any of those items from the consent agenda?
Yes.
Commissioner Hersey, which one would you like me to remove?
Just need a clarification on 9.03.
Okay. So remove 9.03. So we've got 9.01 and 9.02 on the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda that is 9.01 and 9.02?
Move for approval, Chair.
Second.
We've got a motion by Commissioner Bishop and a second by Commissioner Devine. Any discussion regarding that motion? Commissioner Hersey.
I may be out of order. I had questions about some things in the financial report, just for clarification.
You can still ask them.
I can still ask them now?
Yeah, you can ask them now.
Okay, so, are you ready for me? Yeah, so under capital projects, which is on page 4, and I'm asking for a reason because someone asked me about it. With the marquee replacement, are we able to see which schools this is covering, or is it a work in progress? Because a parent asked about that, so that was a question that I had.
I want to say we sent that, but if we didn't, we can send that previously.
The list of schools?
That
Yes.
made, Dr. Witherspoon, that was probably with the, that's probably before Dr.
Okay.
Hersey got on the board.
We will resend
We
that
did
then.
that, I think, in July, either August.
Okay.
We did it,
We
we
can
did the
resend
last
that.
budget.
Sure.
Okay.
All right,
and
any
then-
other, Commissioner Hersey, go
Yeah,
ahead.
with the camera replacement, I noticed it's on here for Dreher High School, and I think there's a payment as well for Lower Richland. Have those jobs been completed? So it's on here, I looked at the balance, I looked at the budget. Are we certain that those things have already been done and finalized?
Mr. Grant.
I'm trying
Yes, those projects have been completed. For those replacements, we are looking at additional upgrade and replacements in the future. Not just specifically at those sites, but at multiple sites.
So what's the process for, if we're gonna pay something, do you have someone on your team that goes out to inspect the job before it's being paid? Or do you talk with the principals to make sure, I'm sorry, do you talk with the principals to make sure that things are operating properly?
That's correct. One of the, so specifically, if you're asking about camera installation, a member of our security team would be the project manager. They would work with our vendor, and they would inspect all of the installation prior to signing off on any invoices to be paid.
Okay. And I'm just going through my notes, so I apologize. Just a few other ones. So, looking at the Freddie Grace Theater, and I see that it was approved in 2019, there was a $200,000 budget. Encumbrances have been $179,608. So does that mean we're near finalization for that project?
For the first part of that project. So, of course, you see that that project was created in 2019, and when we were starting to work on it, which has actually just been in the last year, that was enough to cover just the HVAC. We will be bringing to you additional funding needed for things like interior lighting, some stage work. There are some things that need to be completed regarding ADA compliance and some fire alarm protection. So we'll be bringing those additional costs that the team has worked to put together.
So what's the, because on page 18, it has the W.G. Sanders Auditorium. Is that a separate line item for, because they don't have a separate auditorium, Freddie Grace is the auditorium. Nothing's been spent out of that line item, but I'm just wondering why is it separate? Is there a reason why it was separated?
I'm going to need a little bit of time to go through that. So
Okay.
that's probably something I'll be able to answer after. Give me an opportunity to read through this chart and get you an answer for that.
All right, and the press box for Lower Richland, that's already been completed?
The softball press box?
Yes.
Yes, that was completed very recently. I can't remember the date, but we can get that information. But it was recently. There's one more item that we need to add to that, which I believe is some netting over the window, because the window is even with the top of the fence in front of it, so we need to add some security there so foul balls don't break that window.
Okay. And I think the last thing I had highlighted was the district motor pool fleet. How many vehicles does the district own? And how is it determined who has a district vehicle?
Ms. Matthews says.
We can get you that information and provide that at a later time. I don't have that list with me right now. But we do have a list of exactly where those vehicles are assigned, so we can provide that to you.
Okay. I think that was all I had in relation to the budget questions. Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you. Commissioner Moore.
This may fall under the same category as the marquee list and knowing where those are being placed, but is there somewhere, or can we have a listing of projects by site for just clarification purposes, like Brennan Elementary has the following projects in process or completed?
based on we can certainly get that, but based on
I know
what's
you-
listed in the finance report or just in general? Or just
Well,
for clarity?
my thought comes up from the finance report, but,
Okay.
you know, maybe periodically in general, if that's a possibility. I don't want to create a whole nother task for somebody, but.
Let us process that and
think
we'll
about
provide,
how we can get that
some
information. Thank you.
follow-up information or ask for further
Thank you.
clarification on that. You hear me?
Commissioner Devine?
Thank you. Just as a general response to Dr. Hersey and to Dr. Moore, typically during our work session, we get these questions answered as to the different projects that we do. So like, for example, the question that you've asked, when we get to the work session, typically, I'm just saying, we've expressed those or given those, the team has given those responses back to board members. That's a general statement. So, no, but great question. Great questions. So, yeah.
All right, any other questions on the motion to approve the consent agenda of 9.01 and 9.02?
One more. Can someone
Commissioner
tell
Hersey.
me, yeah, can someone tell me what VNX is? It said VNX
What
is
page?
just initials on page 6. VNX replacement, $550,000. That's in the budget.
Did you say page 6, Ms.?
On the document that I have, it's on page 6, under capital projects.
Dr. Kopic, is that?
Dr. Copy.
That's not the copy. That's, yeah, it's computer.
Good evening. That's our server for our system.
Okay,
I won't give you the long initials, but that's what makes our district, our server run.
okay.
I can give you the technical if you want.
No, I was
Okay.
just curious because it just has initials, so. you
Yes,
don't know.
ma'am.
All right, any other questions? All right, I will call for the vote.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, the motion carries. The motion was to approve 9.01 and 9.02, and it was seconded, and it is a 7-0 vote, so that motion carries. But we did pull 9.03 out of the consent agenda, so we will now turn to 9.03, which is the approval of continuing resolution presented by Ms. Matthews Hazel.
To the board chair, board, Dr. Witherspoon, the administration is requesting a continuing resolution to be passed by the board so we can facilitate business operation for 25-26 school year. With this approval of this resolution, the administration will be authorized to encumber funds. And what I mean by that is to buy items needed for next school year from the 25-26 budgets, so that the required items could be ordered at this time, and we will be able to have them at the start of school next year. The authority will be limited to the amount of 24-25 budgets and be effective until the board approves a fiscal budget for the next year, 25-26. This is something we do every year around this time. The administration requests approval.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Devine, that was seconded by Commissioner Clyburn. Thank you. Any discussion or questions regarding the motion? Commissioner Hersey?
So this is being done, what is the reason? Is there not enough money in the budget now to get the items that are needed?
We are speaking of items for next school year. For example, we start planning for next school year. You have to order those items in advance since school will begin in early August. You know, that's when the teachers come back. Well, we usually have to begin to order those larger items and put them out for bid, usually around springtime. We will not receive the items until the next school year. So this authorizes us to encumber those funds out of the next year budget, because you won't be able to use this year budget since those items will not be received until next year, or services will not be performed. So that's why we're requesting this resolution.
Can you give me an example? Because I'm trying to understand an example of what,
Yeah, I can give an example. Let's say, for example, we want to order a large shipment of books, and it has to go through a lengthy bid process. We're using federal funds. Usually in April, May, that probably would have to come to the board. Well, this is for next year, which would require us to use funds for next year budget. Those items, even though we're ordering them this year, would not be received until July 1st of the next year. So what we're asking the board is to give us an opportunity to plan for items for next school year, just to encumber, which means just to issue purchase orders against those funds. We won't pay any bills until July 1st, but we want the board permission to begin to issue purchase orders against next year budget in planning for the next school year.
Mr. Chair.
Does that answer your question?
Oh, okay. I think she's.
Okay. Any other questions regarding Commissioner Moore?
But I am correct in understanding that we have not actually approved a budget for next year yet.
That is correct, and that's why we say it's limited to this year's budget.
Right, okay.
Right.
Any more questions, comments? All right. This is a motion made by Commissioner Devine, seconded by Commissioner Clyburn, and I'll call for the vote.
Richard.
The motion to approve the continuing resolution passes with 6 yeas, one no. That motion passes, and we will move on to the Office of Teaching and Learning, 10.01, Continuous Improvement Turnaround Plans for 2023-2024 Identified Schools by Dr. Minor.
Good evening, Commissioner Lominack, members of the Board of School Commissioners, Dr. Witherspoon, and cabinet members. So with the South Carolina Code 5918-1615, a school classified as underperforming if it receives an overall report card rating of below average or unsatisfactory. And these ratings are assigned annually based on the release of school report card results. So following the release of the 23-24 report cards, all identified underperforming schools in Richland School District 1 held public meetings on or before November 21st, 2024. And during these meetings, schools reviewed their report card results and presented their approved school improvement plans. These plans, called Continuous Improvement Plans, are now being submitted for your approval this evening. Additional measures have been implemented for schools rated unsatisfactory. These schools will provide quarterly updates to the Board of Commissioners regarding the progress of their plans, and that first quarterly update is tentatively scheduled for April 29th of 2025. For the development of the plans, the schools had phase 1 where they kind of did a diagnostic review. They looked at their report card. They looked at the different areas, academic achievement, student progress, multilingual learners, and school climate, and looking at the areas that they scored not as well in and developed plans for that. They developed SMART goals tailored to each of the school's unique needs and aligned with the profile of the South Carolina graduate. And phase 3 is where they create actionable strategies and steps to improve those overall school ratings. Once approved, schools will monitor these plans at 30, 60, and 90-day intervals as required by the South Carolina Department of Education. And again, those schools rated unsatisfactory will bring a quarterly update to the board beginning April 29th of 2025. Earlier this evening in a work session, we did have the principals here for questions about these plans. And so at this time, the administration recommends approving the 17 identified underperforming schools continuous improvement turnaround plans. The administration so recommends.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, a motion to move for approval by Commissioner Hersey, seconded by Commissioner Devine. Any discussion or questions? I do want to note, just briefly, this was before the board on January 14th. There was a motion to postpone, and then there was information provided then. Information was provided in between the meetings, and then over an hour work session this afternoon. And in addition, some updated information was provided to the board that was discussed this afternoon. So thank you all very much. Without any other discussion, I will call for the vote. The motion passes with 7 yeas, unanimous, and we will now move on to the Office of Superintendent, 11.01, Superintendent's Report presented by Dr. Witherspoon.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Item 11, Office of Human Resources.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Devine. I have a slightly outdated agenda. We move on to the Office of Human Resources, 11.01, HR Personnel Updates presented by Dr. Kumas.
Good evening, Board Chairman, Mr. Luminac, members of the Board of School Commissioners, Dr. Witherspoon. HR updates were provided in executive session as information. If you have any questions, I'll answer them at this time.
Are there any questions for Dr. Kumas? All right, without any questions, we will move on to 11.02, Hiring of Personnel presented by Dr. Kumas.
Yes, sir. The administration recommends hiring all 5 teachers on the attached list for the 24-25 school year. The administration so recommends.
You hear the recommendation of the administration. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Moore, that's seconded by Commissioner Devine. Any questions or discussion?
Would you please,
Commissioner, is that Commissioner Weston?
Yes, just tell me how many vacancies we still have in our district.
Yes, ma'am. We have 48 teaching vacancies.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Any other questions? All right, I will call for the vote. All right, the motion passes with 7 yeas and 0 nays, or noes. We will now move on to the Office of Superintendent, 12.01, Superintendent's Report presented by Dr. Witherspoon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. On Saturday, January 25th, the City of Columbia held its annual celebrating of life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Richland One has partnered with the City of Columbia for many years to hold a food drive for Harvest Hope Food Bank in honor of Dr. King. The city also presents the Dream Keeper Scholarship Awards annually to students who demonstrate the ideals that Dr. King dedicated his life. Congratulations to our schools that were honored during the program for their outstanding participation in the food drive. Congratulations to our students that received scholarships, and we look forward to recognizing them at an upcoming board meeting. The Richland County Recreation Commission has announced that 5 Richland One student athletes have been nominated for the 2025 Richland County High School Girls Basketball Player of the Year Award. Congratulations to these students. Their names and schools are posted on our website at richland1.org. The award winner will be announced March 24th during a special banquet for the nominees, their families, and their coaches. The winner will receive a $2,000 scholarship or college educational bundle including an iPad and gift cards for their hard work and dedication on and off the field. Another Richland One teacher has earned National Board Certification, the highest credential available in the teaching profession. Congratulations to Andrea Puckett from Brockman Elementary School, who joins 168 other National Board Certified teachers in Richland One. We look forward to recognizing her at an upcoming board meeting. In addition to our newest National Board Certified teacher, 18 Richland One teachers have earned the National Board's Maintenance of Certification, which is a 5-year extension of their current certificate's expiration date. Congratulations to these teachers as well. Their names and schools are posted on our website. As a reminder to parents, January 31st is the deadline to apply to enroll in our Magnet Choice programs for the 25-26 school year. Parents can go to richlandone.org/choice to access the application portal and to get more information about magnet school programs that we offer to students at all grade levels. We are holding a series of meetings to receive input from stakeholders as we work to develop the district's general fund budget for the 25-26 fiscal year. The first budget input session was held yesterday, January 27th, at Creighton Middle School. The next one will be held on Tuesday, February 4th at W.G. Sanders Middle School, and the third budget input session will be held Monday, February 10th at Hopkins Middle School. Each meeting will begin at 6 p.m. These sessions are open to students, parents, staff, community members, and any other person who would like to attend. We will also hold budget input sessions specifically for district employees. Next, the Kansas City Chiefs will take on the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl February 9th in New Orleans. The Super Bowl, S-O-U-P-E-R, Bowl of Caring, is held annually in conjunction with the Super Bowl, and Richland One is proud to be a participant again this year. The Super Bowl of Caring is a nationwide initiative that uses the Super Bowl weekend to mobilize young people to fight hunger and poverty in their local communities. Our Parents and Students Succeed, or PASS project, Office of Strategic Partnerships and Extended Day Programs, and Nutrition Services Departments are coordinating the district's 2025 Super Bowl of Caring campaign, which will run through February 14th. Our schools and administrative buildings are collecting canned goods and other non-perishable items that will go to Harvest Hope Food Bank to be distributed to persons in need in our community. Everyone is encouraged to reach the goal, tackle hunger, by dropping your donations into one of the collection boxes throughout the district. Also, Friday, February 7th is designated as Game Day in Richland One, and students and staff are encouraged to wear their favorite NFL attire and paraphernalia. Also, Mr. Chair, members of the board, a couple more updates that I have for you as a part of this report. There's been discussion nationwide and here locally about immigrations and customs enforcement and interactions with various law enforcement in that regard. We do have in the district and has had longstanding protocols in terms of working with various levels of law enforcement, and we will continue to do that even in the midst of what is happening currently. We'll be working certainly with our school staffs, the administration this week. Again, we do have protocols in place, making sure things are done properly and in order, and to take care of all concerned while following any applicable laws and regulations in that regard. Also, Mr. Chair, members of the board, there's been discussion about the funding freeze from at the federal level. That's an ever-evolving topic, and there's been information flowing even while we were here for the work session and going into this meeting. The latest thing I understand is that there's been a stay on the freeze from at the court level. And there's been communications back and forth and across the country as well, which federal funds were to be impacted, was it Richland 1, for example, in total for federal programming, including our Magnet Assistance grant that we're funding, that we're in the middle of now, better than approximately $41 million that impacts our district. But that there has been some communications and information flowing that stay being there, but also communications that no, it did not impact Title I or Title II, IDEA, and so forth. We will continue to monitor this situation as well. And as the Summer SOAR presentation that Sturdivant and Hassinger spoke of, some of our programs in that regard are funded through some of those federal title programs and the like. So we will continue to monitor that and continue to keep you updated in that regard. Lastly, Mr. Chair, members of the board, we did make some adjustments with regard to attendance, and I think some of you all have received some concern on that. And while I will say, and I think a couple of commissioners had shared some questions with me in between meetings, that while we've made some adjustments and we've communicated that out, cascaded that information out based on regulations so forth from SCDE, if students are participating in field experiences, school-related activities, no, they're not impacted by that. We know where they are. We know what they're doing. It's school-related. It's absences of other sorts that we have to start looking at differently. But I will say, and Dr. Mine, if you have anything you'd like to add after I make this statement, but even with that, there will be opportunities for students to make up time missed and the like that's built in. So, Dr. Mine, if you would like to.
Thank you, Dr. Witherspoon. Yes, so when this was brought to our attention, we immediately worked to correct it. We are holding harmless anything that happened in the first semester and just moving forward in the second semester. And we looked definitely at Title 59, 1-425, talking about makeup days and waiver of days. Then we have the 59-20 with the development of the career. Then we have the uniform grading policy that is out there that basically states a student can miss 3 days in a 45-day course, 5 days in a 90-day course, and so on. And then, of course, the attendance regulation 43-274. So we wanted to be in compliance with that. We are not the only district that was out of compliance, so to say, with our students, but students must attend at least 170 days out of the 180 days. At the middle and high school level, when we're talking about Carnegie units, it really gets into question, are they taking the 120 Carnegie units that they need to have the 1 credit course? Do they have the 60 Carnegie unit hours for a half credit course and the 45 for one of those 45-day courses? And so to make sure that we are doing that, that is what we came back and said, moving forward, we're going to be able to put this in there. Because even if you look at one of our classes that is scheduled year-long, it may only be an A-day class or a B-day class, so it only ends up being the 90 days. So we still had to stay within compliance. So what we're trying to do is, if once a student reaches that limit, of course, we are sending home the letters, the 3 consecutive days, then the 5 days total when we get into the truancy and the chronic truancy. On top of that, we are making sure that we are offering that seat time recovery for those students so that way If they're missing that class time, they can come after school or come to Saturday school and make up that seat time, put them on the computer, do some of that content recovery so that we can make sure that our students are getting the credits that they deserve. And so we just wanted to put it out there for the parents, let them know that, you know, if your child has already reached the 5, well, we will work with you if anything else happens. And it's lawful absences that we're looking at, so those parent excuse notes and that type of thing. So we just kind of wanted to make them aware, make the parents aware, and I know that at the school level, they've been talking to the students about this as well, and so we just wanted to make sure that we were now following the policy and making sure that our students knew that attendance is important, and we know that it's important, and to make sure that they are seeing that. And so I know that parents do have some questions, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Dr. Witherspoon?
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I have one more, not related, but
Go ahead.
somewhat related.
Okay.
Also, you know, we've missed a number of days for weather-related purposes. And there are only 5 allowable e-learning days in a given year. And we're laying out, and we will provide the board with some additional information in forthcoming meetings in terms of what we've already either made up or have slated to make up using e-learning days, again, staying within that 5, and then possibly bringing to the board for consideration some waivers once we get to that point, but there will be more information shared with you, perhaps either at the work session or in a subsequent meeting, Mr. Chair. And that concludes my report at this time.
All right, are there any questions of the superintendent after hearing the superintendent's report? Commissioner Weston?
Yes, just to be clear for the parents who are listening out there, because they have been off the chain, things that happened in last semester, you are willing to work with and that kind of thing, but that parents were saying, do I have to take my daughter out of cheerleading because they follow with the school and all of that. So we wanted to make sure that they know that those are school functions where they're cheering or in the band, going to college visits and the like, that those kinds of things will not count against those absences. Is that correct?
And that's what Dr. Witherspoon has alluded to, yes, ma'am.
And if they have concerns or questions, they need to go at the school level first?
Yes, ma'am.
And at the school level, attendance or principal?
I would start with attendance, making sure that they have the information there, because normally if it is a school-sponsored event, that there will be a code in the attendance for that. You know, whether it's a field trip or you know, a basketball game or something that's happening, there will be a code that will be put in there for the students. So I would start with that attendance person, and then if they have any concerns past that, there is an appeal process that parents can go through and appeal to the principal at the school.
Okay. And because COVID is not over, anything like COVID or the flu that they have medical notes for?
Right, they can bring those. We don't have any more COVID excuse codes, but, you know, flu, anything, we do have some medical, so if the parents have excuses for that, yes, ma'am.
Okay, but again, go to the school level first.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Another question?
Commissioner Hersey?
Dr. Miner, this may not be completely in your office, but for A Day, B Day, right, they go every other day, and it says that, I want to make sure that I'm interpreting it right. It's a year-long course, and the limit is 5 days. So it's 5 A days, 5 B days.
It depends on what days they're in the course. So if they're going on A day, it would be 5 A days.
Right.
If they're going on B day, because if you're only going that A day, you're still only going 90 days. Now, and that's for the 90-minute block schedule. If you are going year-long, 45 minutes a day, but you're going every single day, then you can have the 10 hours. That's what the State Department is explaining to us, and they're stating that because it's only a day or because it's only a semester class, that they can only miss those 5 hours. And we have not agreed with it. I have not agreed with that and have gone back and forth with them, as has Richland too, as well. But this is what they're saying. I have been told that they are possibly going to look at that policy, because when the policy was written, it was when a lot of schools were on traditional schedules and weren't in block scheduling years ago. So there are a lot of things to be said for that, but this is what they're passing down to us, and this is what I'm making sure that we are in compliance with.
So this statement is from the State Department. This isn't a Richland One sheet that went out by email?
Right, and it comes from that uniform grading policy. It comes from the South Carolina, so we have pulled all of that information from there, and that is what comes out of Aveen Coleman's office as well when she has her attendance workshops, so it comes from there. So we pulled it together from those policies and from the uniform grading policy to put it into those words, and also we've checked other district websites, Greenville, Horry County, all of those. They have changed their wording, and Richland too just changed their wording as well.
Well, I'm asking because if you look under excused or unexcused absences and seat time recovery, that fifth bullet, it says for 180-day year-long courses that meet either A day or B day, the limit is 5 unexcused absences.
Right, because they look at that as being a semester class. Even though it's scheduled year-long, you only get the 90 days. You don't get the full 108 because you're not going every single day.
Commissioner Hersey, would you yield for 1 second so I could ask a question about that exact issue? I want, it maybe because I'm too tired or too slow to figure this out, but are they saying you can miss 5 A days and on top of that 5 B days, because that would make sense?
If they're separate courses, yes.
Right, of course. So if you've got four A classes, 4 B classes, totally separate, and you miss 2 weeks straight, A, B, that's 10 days, but it's only 5 for A and 5 for B.
Correct.
So that would be within.
Correct.
Okay. All right,
yes.
Thank you for
You've reached
that.
your limit at that point in time, and anything over will need to do seat time recovery to make sure you can pass that course.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
that, what you just said makes more sense to me.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Commissioner Hersey.
Yeah, and Ms. Dr. Minor, and I know that I looked because a parent called me a few weeks ago before this came out, and the attendance brochure, I couldn't find an updated one online. And I know that's another office, but I think that's something that we should probably kind of work on getting it updated. And the other thing is we have to also understand that even though there are excused absences, there is some regulation as to how many excused absences, because kids can end up missing 45 days excused on field trips. So we have to make sure that we put some parameters in place for that. And be specific, because if not, parents are you're gonna have all kind of reasons for everything. And so I don't know, we have to delve into this as a district to put some of those things in place, but I remember having to have those conversations that just because you miss 20 days and they're all field trips, you still have to make up some time. Because down here it says excused and or unexcused days.
Right, and I will yield to Dr. Witherspoon for this, but we do work right alongside with Tony Kelly Campbell's office, Student Services, Ms. Coles, and Dr. Small's office when we're working together, and also teaching and learning secondary. We kind of put all of our heads together and came up with this to make sure. And sometimes just personally, I think that, you know, we could keep adding and adding and adding. Sometimes it comes down to common sense, but as Dr. Witherspoon will allude to, that's something probably that we may need to touch on down the road, but I will defer to him.
Agreed. We will continue to look at that piece.
All right, any more questions of the superintendent? All right, we will move on. Thank you, Dr. Witherspoon. We will now move to the Office of the Board. 13.01, search firm selection presented by Chairman Lominack. As folks may know, and if you haven't, you can watch it, I'm sure. Last Thursday, we had a presentation from 3 superintendent search firms. That was a public presentation. Is there any motion related to the presentations made by those search firms?
I move that we accept the presentation from firm BWP.
Second.
All right, so there's a motion by Commissioner Hersey that was seconded by Commissioner Devine, and I want to make sure I get this right. A motion that we select BWP as our superintendent search firm. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so there's a motion that's been properly seconded. Any discussion regarding that motion? All right, without discussion, I will call for the vote. right, the motion to select BWP as the superintendent search firm passes, 7 yeas, 0 nos. We now move to the 13.02 item, the internal audit update presented by Mr. Washington.
Chair Lomanak, Commissioners, Dr. Witherspoon. Internal audit presented an update in executive session. That was an information item, but I'll be happy to take any questions if you have any.
This is an information item. Are there any questions of Mr. Washington at this time? Thank you, Mr. Washington. There are no questions. We will move to 13.03, board report. Commissioner Devine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly, just want to, I can't see him, congratulate Dr. Kevin Hassinger for having his picture unveiled on yesterday. He was a principal at Dreher High School from 2019 to 2023. Congratulations, Dr. Hassinger. I can't see you, but yeah, congratulations. And then also, while I'm still on Dr. Hassinger, congratulations to him and his team, the secondary ed department, and the STEAM, had their STEAM showcase and science fair, I believe on yesterday at Hayward Career Center as well. And so thank y'all for putting that on for our students and for the community. Had a good turnout from what the participation was. And then lastly, Dr. Witherspoon, I want to thank you and your team for supporting the SCAPSI Youth Conference that was held, I think last week, week before last. That's a great opportunity for our young people to go and learn from other young people across the state of South Carolina and some even across the nation when it comes to youth conference, and learn some other social skills and some of those social emotional skills that we talk about in Richland 1. Then finally, Mr. Chairman, at some point, and I'll be glad to help you with this, we typically meet with the delegation. We need to put that on the list as we're doing the workshops. We need to have a meeting with our delegation. We typically do it in December, January-ish, but you know, it's been kind of weather and just change of board and all that. But if you need my help, I'll be glad to assist with that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Devine. Commissioner Moore.
Just very quickly, again, thank you to the RCEA for our cake. And also, I noticed that we have a gift from the Elementary Principals Association, so thank you to them. And as a former member of the Elementary Principals Association, I'm glad to see that they are alive and kicking. So if any of you are out there, that's great. If you're watching or whatever, I'm glad that that group is still very active. The last thing is that I attended the public presentation for budget input at Creighton on Monday. That was yesterday. And I want to say that to everyone who's listening, of our parents and community members, you need to take advantage of coming and presenting your concerns if you have them. We get calls, we hear conversations, here we have a session where you can come and participate. And I was a little bit disappointed in the amount, not the quality of the participation, but the quantity of the participation last night. So there are 2 more of those sessions. Please check those out and make every effort to get there if you have concerns or input. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Moore. Commissioner Bishop.
Thank you, Chair. I think only 2 things on my desk. One is to recognize Dr. Witherspoon for being Superintendent of the Year for SCAPSI. Thank you, Commissioner Devine. Congratulations. And 2, I think you were slated to speak at the Richland County Neighborhood Association by way of request from John Black. However, you walked into a recognition of your service here with Richland School District 1 and Richland County. So just wanted to make sure we recognize you for that. And those are my things, Dr. Witherspoon. Appreciate you. And to Chairman Lomanak, I yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bishop. Commissioner Clyburn.
Thank you so much. And since it was just mentioned for the Richland County Neighborhood Association, I was there to witness the presentation ambush, which went over very comically, but you could tell Dr. Witherspoon was very appreciative of the recognition and well-deserved. So thank you so much for your service. I also, on last Friday, attended the school board conference, the SCASB conference that was previously mentioned, and ran into some of those youth presenters that Commissioner Devine mentioned. And so I just wanted to mention that. Great conference as always. And also on, let's see, that was Monday, January 20th. I was pleased to attend the Columbia Urban League, the breakfast, Keeping the Legacy Alive breakfast, which is always held during Martin Luther King Jr. weekend on that Monday, where, you know, they basically just urge everyone to, you know, keep participating in your communities, making sure that you're supporting our youth so that they can be a part of a greater future. So it was definitely great to see all of the people there willing to commit themselves even further to making sure that happens. So thank you so much, and that is my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Clyburn. Commissioner Hersey.
Thank you. Now that we're going to be beginning the phases of doing a superintendent search, I stress the importance of parents as well as employees being actively engaged in the parent and the community sessions. You know, we talk a lot about what we want and how we want to move forward, and we're giving the opportunities will be there for everyone to be actively involved and engaged in what is taking place. And so make sure that you look out, keep abreast of what's happening, pay attention to the website or however the information is going to be communicated to you in the community so that you all can be a part of the whole decision-making process. Also, now that we know that we're going to be actively doing that and persons are going to be watching our district, I ask that we please make sure that the website is always kept up to date. I love the new platform. It really looks nice. The organizational chart still has not been updated. Well, the last time I checked, I think the last time was 2021. And so I think that's important that that's updated because a new superintendent coming in wants to see what the structure of the district looks like. That has a lot to do with decisions and how they plan, and I know we're going to probably be asking for 30, 60, and 90-day plans. So let's make sure that that information is up to date. And also, if anytime there's some changes or when you do it again, I feel like some districts have pages that are like, it says parent landing, so that parents can go just click and everything that parents need will be in one location. Even though the site is really nice now, some things are a little more challenging or difficult to find, and so I think that would be one recommendation. Also, now that there are new board members in place, I want to make sure I say this correctly. For those that I represent, I want to make sure that the community understands that I am not going to come in and step over the principals from my cluster. And I also want them to understand that they no longer have to answer to anyone other than their executive directors who supervise them and Dr. Witherspoon. And with that, as Lower Richland is celebrating 100 years this year, that is a huge celebration for a school. And I'm hoping that along with the principal, that she gets some of the community members involved to help with the planning process, because that should be a huge celebration. It's not often that we're able to do those things or schools are around for that length of time. And so I want to make sure that the community knows that we're celebrating 100 years at Lower Richland High School, and that information will be disseminated, hopefully, so that people can have input and be a part of the planning process. And the same thing happens for the homecoming activities. This is a community event. This is not for one organization to control, and that hopefully the principal, Mrs. Williams, will understand that people are there to support her. The community is looking forward to it going back to the way it was. We understand that there may be some concerns as it relates to crowd and traffic, and I had those concerns when I was there as principal as well, but it was manageable, and it's something that can be done, and those funds greatly benefit the students of Lower Richland High School, and we want to make sure that that takes place. And on the last thing I'd like to say, I received a text message this weekend from a graduate Tanaya Sumter. We're going to start celebrating our students. She will be graduating this May from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. But she was happy to let me know that she's received acceptance at Duke University in their biostatistics program, and they're going to pay for her entire first and second year of graduate school. And so that is a major accomplishment for a student to get into that kind of program and have it fully covered. And so I want to congratulate her and her mother. They were extremely happy when that happened, and I personally called her to let her know that I was really proud of her. Thank you, Chairman Lomanak.
Thank you, Commissioner Hersey. Any other board reports? Commissioner Devine?
I do want to thank the Elementary Association principals as well. Thank you for recognizing us for School Board Appreciation Month. Thank you so much.
All right, with that, we'll move on to, I'm sorry, Commissioner Bishop.
I'm not sure if we had a chance to unpack this as a board, but the tragic death of the 13-year-old that the community has been talking about, I'm sorry that her name is not coming up, Kanaya Baker. When Chief Holbrook spoke at the press conference, he said our system is broke. And it really made me have to ask the question if, as a community, are we being a village where we work with Department of Social Services, we work with Department of Juvenile Justice, we work with the City of Columbia, the county. And so I think that as a board, maybe even as a district office, that we do need to see what we can do to strengthen our system as a county. I'm pretty sure, Dr. Witherspoon, you speak to the likes of the mayor, county administrator, Sheriff Leon Lott, therefore, and so forth. But this has really galvanized the community to see what we need to do better. I've been contacted by several community members asking, is the district working with these other entities in our community to make sure that we're putting a hand on every child? Because the first part of the narrative first part of the narrative with the incident and the tragic loss of this young girl's life was she was a runaway. I just knew she was a child. And so when we look at what we can do to strengthen our network, touch points and opportunities to communicate with other agencies and organizations, nonprofits, churches, would love to know if we're going to be part of the discussion, if we're going to be part of the network, so that we don't operate in isolation or separate, but we bring that village mentality and that village network to Richland County. It needs all of our leadership. Richland County needs all of our leadership. So just want to speak to it, to this board, and hopefully we provide some level of leadership at all the conversation, all the tables, all the conversations, so we can be a stronger community. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Bishop. And with that, we will go to 14.01. The next regular board meeting of the Richland 1 Board of School Commissioners will be held on Tuesday, February 11th, 2025 at 7 p.m. at the Stevenson Administration Building, 1616 Richland Street, Columbia, South Carolina. And I believe without objection, we stand adjourned. Thank you.